There we go. What's up, YouTube? What's up, YouTube? It's your boy J Flood 201 Reacts, and I'm back with another video. Alright, so for this, we're watching American Confidential. If you guys have never heard of American Confidential, this channel is fucking dope. He does high-level journalism, high-level reporting with a twist of street sociology, as I'll call it. And I'm a big fan. I'm thinking of pooling some money. If anybody wants to donate, I'm gonna join channels like him, Traplor Ross, and maybe like one or two others to actually get like their fan videos and stuff, like the locked content. To be honest, it's not really in my budget to do that. I already got a bunch of like entertainment habits and spend too much money on clothes and entertainment. I'm trying to reach some financial goals. Yeah. But yeah. And anybody who's tuning into the video, shout out for your support, because right now it means a lot to me, you know. Going through a breakup, totally my fault, you know. You know, typical scumbag shit. But you know how we do. Those of us who do know my story, who follow my Instagram, I am in recovery. So dating when you're in recovery is really hard, and you know, it's just one of those things. Like, you're not really supposed to date in recovery, and you're definitely not supposed to date other people that are also in recovery. So that being said, I think I'm gonna take a break from dating in general, because one of my problems has become like using that the same way that I used to use other substances. And it's bringing that same chaos that substances were bringing into my life. But we get to talk about one of my favorite topics tonight, and that's Philly. So we're going to head out of the Garden State into the city of brotherly love and talk about Rondo, talk about OT7 Quanny and Lee Ford's manager that was killed in Puerto Rico. I think it was Rondo? Ronnie? Something like that. But if I had to guess, I swear, straight guessing, if I had to guess, because I've never seen this before, this is going to be some, like, Dominican shit. You know what I mean? Like, this is going to be some fucking Trinitario fucking crazy shit or something. Because if there's anything I know about living in the Bronx, because that's where I used to live, it's that the Dominicans do not play. Shout out DDP. Shout out Trinitarios and any of my Trini folk out there that are tuning in. And so we're going to jump right into this. I think his name was Ruger Rondo or Ruger Ronnie. And, you know, he was a big deal. He was a money getter out there in PA. Other than that, don't know anything about the guy. I think I followed him on Instagram, on my old Instagram account. But let's jump right into it. Like, I didn't even know that he was Lee Ford's manager. I knew he was OT7 Quanny's, though. So, with that, make sure to go check out American Confidential's channel. Alright? He's got so much great content. Remember to like, comment, subscribe this video. And remember to stay tuned for more stuff like this, because we love to watch the hood shit and react to it. Alright, and with that, let's play.
We could get you a zip, we is not them to be played with. You know Double R had more chains than a slave shit. I'm a real mob member, nigga, this shit too in me. I don't think the law gon' forgive us, we got too many. Freak burner jam, baby shook now.
El hombre asesinado ayer en la placita de Santurce, identificado
Santurce,
como Reyes de Jesús Rondón, de 27 años.
He was 27 years old? Ouch, dog.
Residente en Filadelfia.
Al occiso se le ocupó una identificación.
Deceased with a fake ID and 3K. Quick 3 bands, that's nothing, that's light work, but fake ID. What's he doing out there? And he was shot to death. That's gun violence.
Falsa y sobre $3,000 en efectivo. La policía no descarta se trate de un ajuste de cuentas por drogas.
The Diablos run the block. Goons who kill people, now we millionaires. Little boss, you dead now. Motherfucker, we the hardest mafia in Puerto Rico. We run Philly and the 7 sucks my dick. I'm incorrigible. Your son dead and I got a screenshot. God damn. You can get back for your son. I'm about to take your block. Whoa. The dissing goes crazy, bro. These guys do not fuck around.
The River Wards is a region in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, situated along the Delaware River, northeast of Center City. The term River Wards commonly refers to a collection of neighborhoods, including Fishtown, Kensington, Port Richmond, and Old Richmond. Positioned at the boundary between North Philadelphia and Northeast Philadelphia, the area is sometimes classified as part of either or recognized as its own distinct section. It is also occasionally referred to as Kensington/Richmond. Kensington is a predominantly low-income, working-class neighborhood that saw rising poverty levels following the decline of its industrial base in the 1960s due to deindustrialization. Disinvestment and neglect have led to high rates of abandoned properties in some areas, prompting grassroots efforts from residents to address these challenges. At the same time, the southern sections of Kensington have undergone significant gentrification in recent years.
Life in Kensington is not easy, but it wasn't always like this. Back in the day, there was an economic boom in Philly, but a downturn in manufacturing happened here in the 60s and 70s, and those employment needs soon dried up. By 1975, about 75% of those industrial jobs and businesses were gone. Yes, life in Kensington definitely comes with a price.
Like many Philadelphia neighborhoods, Kensington lacks official boundaries, leading to variations in its definition across different sources and disputes among locals. Some neighborhoods within Kensington include East or Lower Kensington, West Kensington, and Harrogate. The nearby Fair Hills and Norris Square neighborhoods are sometimes considered part of Kensington, while Fishtown and South Kensington or Old Kensington were historically included. The most commonly accepted boundaries are Front Street and Fifth Street to the west, the Amtrak train track to the north, the Trenton Avenue train tracks and Frankfurt Avenue to the east, and Cecil B. Moore Avenue to the south. The neighborhood is home to a diverse population, including large communities of Hispanic Americans, primarily Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, alongside African Americans, Irish Americans, Polish, and Asians.
Puerto Ricans and Dominicans.
Kensington always has a significant homeless population. South of Lehigh Ave, an influx of young urban professionals has contributed to increasing gentrification, especially in Old Kensington, Norris Square, and East Kensington. Fishtown, which was historically considered part of Kensington, has also experienced extensive redevelopment, but is now regarded as a separate neighborhood. Kensington is widely known for its open-air drug market, centered around the intersection of Kensington and Allegheny Ave. By 2020, the area had become a hub for drug sales and use, with a $1 billion drug market operating in public spaces such as McPherson Square, or as it's infamously known in Philly, Needle Park. The neighborhood's struggle with the drug trade have drawn national and international media attention. Once a blue-collar factory neighborhood, Kensington was especially devastated when deindustrialization swept through the area in the 1950s.
Bro, this is crazy. See, this is what I mean about street sociology. This is why I love this channel. He's taking you through all the different, neighborhoods, all the different areas, all this different shit, bro. This is all clearly going to be key, or at least help us understand what's going to later occur in the video, which is, I'm sure that there's something about this neighborhood and something about the Puerto Rican population, bro. So obviously I was wrong about saying that it was some Dominicans, right? Because this looks like Puerto Rico. So it actually happened in PR, right? That means that these are some Puerto Ricans cats, bro. These are some Puerto Rican cats that did the dirty work. I'm trying to think of some Puerto Rican gangs. You got Puerto Rican Power. You got obviously the Latin Kings, right? They're not just like, they're just a Hispanic like clique type shit. But I don't really know too many of the Puerto Rican cats. I know that they got gangsters and banditos and all this shit, bro. But I don't really know too much about Puerto Rican gangs. Or even if this is a gang, or if this is just some money for, you know, like murder for hire money stuff. Shit. But I'm loving the video so far. I'm getting really into it, so I just wanted to give a brief reaction. We could cut right back to it. But really, I gotta give this man his props.
As a white population fled for the suburbs, Hispanic and African American people moved in, and with few investments from the city, the drug market filled the economic vacuum.
As low as you can go here. Kensington and Lehigh.
This is the neighborhood we used to live in. I wouldn't live here no more if I was you. But now we're by Tasmanian devil. This is the dirty part of the Philadelphia.
Houses transformed into drug dens, factories into spaces to shoot up, and rail yards into homeless encampments. Most residents, many of them immigrant families who had to come to Kensington for a better life, did not have the means to move. In the early 2000s, Dominican gangs started bringing in Colombian heroin that was not only purer, but much cheaper than the heroin imported from Asia, which historically predominated.
I mean, you have a big section, a pretty big section of Philadelphia that is just going down. I mean, these abandoned homes, people not able to keep their house up. I mean, you got people living in these, you know, in these homes. I mean, they're being turned into shooting galleries. Crime happens, rape, muggings, prostitution.
We're surrounded by what was a heavy industrial area. And as you look around now, the factories are just shells. So the economy is gone.
Fight down, fight down.
In the Badlands, even the cops have street names. His is Batman.
Don't run, don't run, don't run. Y'all know the deal. Don't run. Ladies, 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 don't run. Listen, we know who you are. You know, I know who you are, don't you?
Yeah.
All right then. So if I wanted you, I could have you, right?
Right.
So we just viewing, maybe this can help us get you some help. You know what I mean? If you ever decide you want some help.
Kensington's decentralized market kept competition high and prices low. Most corners were run by small, unaffiliated groups of dealers, making the area difficult to police. If a dealer was arrested, there was always someone there to replace him. The Philadelphia prison system has become the largest provider of drug treatment in the city. The police have realized that they can't arrest the problem away, and they spend many of their calls reviving drug addicts with Narcan and overdose reversal spray. The DEA focused on the high-level drug traffickers, not the guys working on the street, but the arrests did little to curb the demand.
Damn, this is really in depth and getting crazy. You gotta
Eve Online is a
you really gotta love this shit.
It's known in Philly as the Badlands. Amber and Cambria is one of the corners in Kensington that has made a lot of money off the drug trade over the years.
We could get you a zip. We is not them to be played with. You know Double R had more chains than a slave ship.
This is Reyes de Jesus Rondon, known as Ruger Ray on the street. The nickname speaks for itself, as they didn't call him Ruger for nothing. He's from Belmore Street, right by Amber and Cambria. On December 7th, 2015, around 1:23 p.m., two Philadelphia police officers were conducting surveillance from the third floor of an old school building near the 2000 block of Rush Street in Philadelphia. One of the officers testified that the neighborhood was a, quote, high crime, high shooting area with a lot of narcotics and a lot of shootings, unquote. Police observed Ray, or Rondo, standing around with three companions about 50 to 75 feet away on the same side of the street below, near a Pontiac Grand Prix. The officers said he saw Ray reach into the Grand Prix and retrieve a black handgun and place it on the left side of his waistband and cover it up with his shirt. The 2 officers ran down to the street and approached Ray and the 3 others he was with their guns drawn. While one officer had the other 3 stand against the wall or a weapons pat down, the second officer ordered Ray to lie face down on the ground, handcuffed him, and retrieved a handgun, a Glock 23 .40 caliber semi-automatic. That officer testified that while Ray was handcuffed, he said he, quote, should have blasted us, and he didn't even get used to the gun yet, unquote. The police determined that Ray was not licensed to carry a firearm. They also confirmed that the handgun was stolen. Ray was arrested and charged with various VUFA, which is the violation of the Uniforms Firearms Act. Reyes de Jesus Rondon was born June 1st, 1995. Ray moved around a lot, but everywhere he lived was in the Kensington or Tioga section of the city. Ray hopped off the porch early and was selling drugs by the time he was 13. His first adult arrest was at the age of 19 and was for the gun case I just mentioned. Ray would stack up a few more gun and drug charges, but was always able to handle most of them without spending a significant time in prison. On September 18, 2022, at around 1:35 a.m., 2 Philadelphia police officers responded to a radio call of a person with a gun at the intersection of Ditman and Longshore Ave. The police officers were in plain clothes and were also in an unmarked vehicle. The undercover cops said that they observed a black male who was armed with an AR-15 type rifle walking alongside a Hispanic male. The officers observed 2 men standing near a red-colored Dodge Charger. The officers notified radio and stayed back to observe while they waited for uniformed officers to arrive on location. The 2 men entered the red Charger and left the area and turned east on Tyson Ave from Ditman. The first marked police car attempted to stop the vehicle on the 4600 block of Tyson Ave. They tried to conduct a traffic stop, but the Charger tried to go around the cops and it struck the back of the cop car. The red Charger sped off and a chase ensued. Additional police responded and also pursued the red Charger as it fled for several minutes at high rates of speed on I-95. The red Dodge Charger was being operated in a reckless manner with disregard for the safety of both police and civilians, it read in the police report. After several minutes, the pursuit was called off for safety reasons. The red Charger was later located unoccupied minutes later at the corner of Janney and Monmouth Street by 24th District Police. The vehicle was placed on a property receipt and towed to the police garage. The black male who was seen initially by the undercovers holding the AR-15 type rifle was later located right back at Ditman and Longshore. He was identified and he had a valid permit to carry, the report read. He was found to be working as an armed security guard at the time. The suspect was developed when the undercovers and the officers from the 24th District spoke with each other. They developed Ray as a suspected driver based on testimony from the narc. They stated that they had seen photos of the male they claimed to see getting into the red Dodge Charger and that they positively identified the male as Ray as Rondo. Police concluded based on jewelry Ray was seen wearing that night and in Instagram photos that it was him. Based off this, Ray was charged with aggravated assault, simple assault, recklessly endangering another person, fleeing police officers, causing an accident/damage, and reckless driving. Now, all that the officers had in this case was the testimony of the undercovers. A lot of times that does tip the scales in court, but in terms of evidence, it was going to be a 50-50 shot here for Rondo. They called him Ruger Ray on the streets. Some called him Freaky.
Just bought a 911, we don't even call cop. Freak burner jam, baby shook them.
His story isn't one of drill rap and self-snitching. It's one of relative secrecy, especially when compared to some of the other stories I cover on this channel. There is little info about the man they called Rondo before 2022 online. What I could scrape together comes from family members willing to give small details here and there. But when it came to his street dealings, it was clear Ray kept his circle tight, and putting any of his affairs online was a no-no. In Kensington, when it comes to money, either you have a lot of cash or you didn't. Poverty was all around, but through selling drugs, Ray was able to live a flashy lifestyle and appear to rise above his circumstance. That all may have been an illusion, however. Sawa wasn't left much, if anything at all, after he passed. Ray was able to build his image and reputation by being a genuine, but no-nonsense type of hustler. There are stories of him doing what some might consider snake moves, but by most accounts, Ray was a stand-up dude. You don't cross him and he won't cross you. But when it came to being a boss of a street corner in Kensington, Being ruthless and aggressive was the only way to survive. Out of respect for the fact that Ray or Rondo didn't put all of his business on the internet, and the fact that I cannot report on things I'm unable to confirm, this video will be a little light on details. However, what I can report on is what's on the internet. In 2022, with the video of Ray or Rondo on a corner in Kensington with his friend, being Fatty, started circulating. Fatty, who can be seen here with a baby face and riding dirt bike. In the video, Ray and Fatty are standing on an unidentified corner in Kensington, and a black truck pulls alongside them and starts shooting. At one point, Ray is seen reaching in his pocket while taking fire. He struggles to pull something out, and then lobs the object off screen. There's a lot of speculation on the internet as to what he tossed, with some suggesting it was a grenade, and some saying he threw his phone as a distraction attempt. Whatever he threw, he went right to Instagram to troll his ops about missing him. Here you can get a glimpse of the type of attitude Ray took towards things that was going on. Not much is known about Fatty, except he was frequently with Ray, and on this occasion, both would escape with their life. Now, when it comes to beef, Ray was in deep. Whether it was holding down and taking or keeping control of drug corners or avenging murders, Ray was rumored in a lot of stuff. Los Diablos, or the Devils, is the Philly branch of a powerful and violent criminal group originating from Puerto Rico's Los Diablos de Orens. This is a prison gang that gained notoriety in the 1980s and has become more powerful in the streets over the years.
I'm here to talk a little bit about the history of Nieta. Technical definition is never ever tolerate abuse.
Who was credited for creating it?
Carlos Torres Iriarte, better known as Carlos La Sombra. He was like a short, dark-skinned gentleman. He was humble. He isn't what you would picture as somebody who creates a movement. You know what I mean? And back in the prisons in Puerto Rico, there was a lot of abuses going on. When we say abuses, we mean like other men being other men, and people getting robbed. Just anything that you consider an abuse, like somebody younger picking on somebody older that he can't defend himself or anything like that. You know what I mean? So he came up with the association Nieta. It was there was a couple people that were in charge. There was a guy named El Manota, and he was actually part of our association. And him and Carlos La Sombra had a falling out. And when that falling out happened, they parted ways with us. They fought, and it caused a big war in the jails of Puerto Rico. And ever since then, they've been against us, we've been against them. 27 insectos.
La presión. Pero los precios por chanteo que era un trabajo. Diablos matan por mí, si te pillan por ahí. Llevan 2 años soñando mi muerte. Me tirotearon en Philly 2 veces. El que lo hizo se murió hace por la play se los pulmones carro. En tu canto la guerra declaro.
Pressure, 9x19, is a Puerto Rican drill rapper from Kensington, more specifically, Weymouth and Allegheny. He popped on the scene in 2023 with his song, VVS.
Where you at?
Rican drill rap gets hundreds of thousands of views. Some videos get millions for artists like Pressure. Another Rican drill artist is Sombra.
Esta guerra con lo que deja el perico. Cobro tu cabeza y en la music lo duplico. Patroncito, va muertito. Te pato la cara con mi Draco y lo repito.
Sombra and Pressure both rep Los Diablos. Sombra is the nephew of a popular producer on the island named Chronic Magical, who grew up with the artist named The Secret Weapon, who was a star on the island. Sombra grew up in Philly and learned the American street codes, where he fit right in. He learned how to drill rap, and his ties to Pressure and Los Diablos is what ties him to the story. Both artists are cool with Skrilla and YBC Duel. Los Diablos is a gang that alludes to dark religious vibes of Santeria and Palo, similar to Skrilla.
Vamos a ver quién es más guapo. Mencionando muerte en mis canciones, estoy flow Skrilla. Hablo miel agua que estos puercos me están seteando. 4 chivos, fréndame el me quité con Travis Scott, estoy cazando con Chango. 10 peines en una glow y 4 son de 22.
Their main ops in Philly are 7th and Tioga, or La Siete. The 7th has ties to the islands as well. The drug trade was one route of making money for young men that moved back and forth between Philly and the island. Drill music is quickly becoming another. Puerto Rico is a beautiful island with an abundance of culture and history. A traveler's paradise today, Puerto Rico wasn't always as relatively safe as it is today.
Yo, so this is crazy. I gotta react. They got fucking Puerto Rican drill music. They got hustlers off the island. Like, for all of you New York cats that are tapped in with like the Trinis and all this stuff, it's the same shit in Philly with the Puerto Rican cats. Like, this is crazy. Like, we got DR, like, there's a lot of Dominican music that comes out of New York that gets you on that same level, if not way more popular than drill rappers. You're getting millions of views, you know, hundreds of thousands of views. And when you're tapped into that kind of cash flow or like record industry stuff, like, a lot of stuff comes with that. Definitely a lot of haters. And then on top of that, if you're like a street dude and you push bundles, whatever it is that you do, this is getting really murky waters, very complicated. And there's one thing that I'll say about the Latin dudes, all right, the Latinos. These guys do not fuck around. If they don't like you, if they want to take you out, they're going to. They got a lot of crash dummies, but here's the thing. Their crash dummies are way more on point than our crash dummies. Our crash dummies are getting caught. Their crash dummies speak 2 languages. Their crash dummies are international, bro. They're here one moment, the second they're not. The only thing that we got as a weapon against crash dummies like these is that now ICE is out there on the scene, okay? We got the, President Trump's trying to kick them all out. But it's still a dangerous weapon. Let's say these guys got dual citizenship. Yo, it's a really tricky, it's like fighting a ghost, La Fantasma, because, or, El Fantasmo, because they, one second they're there, the next they're back home in PR. Right, or wherever it is, they're staying with a cousin, they're staying with a brother, and they all got cousins and brothers, and you know what I mean, and like they grow up, they're tied tight, man. Their culture bonds them in a way that you just don't see the black dudes doing it that often. The projects sometimes will bond those dudes, but a lot of those guys snake each other, are only about the next come up. And one thing that I will say is, unfortunately, this is true all over across black cultures. The black dollar doesn't stay in the black community. The brown dollar does a little bit of a different dance. You'll see the brown dollar stay in the brown community. So if you're making a lot of money trapping off the white folks, you're going to spend that money back on the island. You're going to buy a store in that neighborhood. You're going to employ your cousins. You're going to start sending some of that money back to the island. The brown dollar does a better job of staying in the brown community. And because of that, they create a deadlier op. They're a harder, they're a more difficult. They're more difficult opposition when it comes to this street shit and this kind of like these dark this deep water out here. These sharks got sharp teeth, my man.
The existence
Very
of apparent
interesting.
no man's lands areas in which all manner of criminal activity could take place without any sort of police control among particularly lower class communities caused widespread concern in the 1980s. The use of automatic weapons and other arms to directly fight back against law enforcement became a popular problem as well. From 1993 to 1996, the government confiscated a total of 10,017 illegal firearms during their efforts. As well, the total number of murders in Puerto Rico nearly doubled from 1987 to 1994, increasing from 509 to 995, respectively. These trends received massive interest in the island's news media. Perceptions of widespread crime fueled political turmoil and increased pressure on authorities to intensify their efforts, often resulting in harsher anti-drug crackdowns. In the early 1990s, law enforcement expanded its focus to include white-collar drug users. A government chief of staff highlighted the issue, stating that police had witnessed, quote, housewives who go to these drug distribution spots with their children in the car, unquote, and vowed to send a strong message. This strict approach, known as the Iron Fist, became a defining policy. In 1993, Governor Pedro Rosell enforced this stance, declaring, "They have incited a war and they'll get it. Let criminals know that our patience is gone." That year, 104 murders occurred in January alone. Efforts to combat crime included equipping police with more weapons and deploying the National Guard in targeted areas. Despite these aggressive measures, Puerto Rico struggled to curb drug trafficking, and crime remained rampant. Between 1992 and 1998, the island's policing budget nearly doubled as the government imposed longer sentences, expanded law enforcement, and constructed new prisons. However, these measures failed to produce significant progress, and by 1997, a national poll revealed that 68% of Puerto Ricans believed crime had worsened significantly over the previous 5 years. In response, local law enforcement sought closer collaboration with U.S. federal agencies, particularly in combating drug trafficking. The U.S. Coast Guard and the Drug Enforcement Administration, or the DEA, expanded their presence on the island throughout the 1990s, forging partnerships that continued for years. However, persistent challenges, and particularly police corruption, complicated these efforts. The PRPD, or the Puerto Rican Police Department, the island's primary law enforcement agency, was frequently mired in scandals involving officer misconduct, including direct involvement in criminal activities. These issues further eroded public trust in the justice system and hampered efforts to effectively combat crime.
See, like, this is what I mean by street sociology. I don't know, maybe he is going to school to get like a sociology degree, or maybe he's studying journalism, but some of this shit is really in depth, and I will say at times in a video like this, like, me personally, I love it, but I'm very, very familiar with the war on drugs and what our policies abroad do. You can almost copy and paste everything he just said and put in, instead of Puerto Rico, replace that with the Dominican Republic, Colombia, Jamaica, just name it. Name a South American or Caribbean country of interest. Nicaragua, you know what I mean? Like, I'm very well versed in how America influences its South American counterparts abroad, because Puerto Rico is definitely, a satellite of the United States and its foreign policy.
21st century, police corruption in Puerto Rico contributed to a mass wave of drug-related crimes, leading to the arrest of over 30 law enforcement officers. At the time, Puerto Rico ranked 6th globally for murders per capita. This brings us to February of 2023. Ray was set to take a trip to Puerto Rico with his close friends, maybe for a meetup with a rap artist or manager. Ray was starting to make moves as a music manager. In 2022, he started to be seen with some of the hottest rap artists in the Philly drill scene, like Leaf Ward and OT7 Quanny. Skrilla picking a side against Quanny might have something to do with this, or might not. But after Ray died, Skrilla and Quanny seemed to make up, so make of that what you will. Anyway, Ray could be seen in numerous Leaf and Quanny videos, like I said, and he was starting to make connections in the rap game.
I'm a real mob member, nigga, this shit too in me. I don't think the law gon' forgive us, we got too many. The line don't count the money no more, I really could short him. I got some money now, when my brother fell, I just caught him.
His trip down to Puerto Rico was seen as a business trip. Only one problem, he wasn't gonna make it back.
See this property on Craigslist for $4,300 a month?
Yo, this
shit
is dark, bro. This shit is spooky.
Police reported on February 6, 2023 that the man killed on Tuesday in front of the iconic avocado trees in Santurce's Plaza was identified as 27-year-old Reyes de Jesus Rondon. Reyes, a Dominican living in Philadelphia, was identified as an artist manager in the Puerto Rican news reports. In the shooting, 2 people were injured by direct impact and 2 others by bullet fragments. Among the injured were 2 women and 2 men. None of the injured were identified and 2 of them were transported to a hospital, while the other 2 were treated at the scene and were not transported due to only having minor injuries. Agents assigned to the Homicide Division of the San Juan CIC took charge of the investigation together with the prosecutor on duty. A man was caught by news cameras being arrested about 20 minutes away, minutes after the shooting.
La policía dice que ellos están ahora investigando supuestamente 2 celulares que tenía la víctima en el momento de cuando ocurrió este crimen, y también ahora tienen bajo la mira lo que viene siendo un vehículo que ellos están investigando que posiblemente está vinculado a este crimen.
La policía identificó a Reyes de Jesús Rondón como el hombre que fue encontrado mortalmente baleado este miércoles 8 de febrero en el popular establecimiento La Placita, en el sector de Santurce, en San Juan, Puerto Rico. Encontraron su cuerpo baleado con cerca de 15 disparos. Según las autoridades de la isla, el hombre de origen dominicano, quien residía en Filadelfia, se identificaba como un supuesto manejador de artistas urbanos y revelaron que él no estaba solo cuando fue asesinado.
En cuanto surgen las detonaciones, la persona que viene a rapar con él sale corriendo y la persona cae muerta.
Esta tarde, familiares de la víctima llegaron hasta el Instituto de Ciencias Forense en Río Piedras para identificar el cadáver. La policía explicó que el hombre estaba hospedándose en un Airbnb en San Juan. Revelaron que este vehículo, que fue encontrado abandonado y quemado en Caimito, ahora se suma a los indicios de la investigación. Dicen que el auto podría ser el Honda en que los pistoleros se transportaban. Los detectives ahora buscan a la persona con quien Reyes se encontraba en Puerto Rico.
Si diéramos con esa persona, que la podemos entrevistar, nos puede arrojar luz de qué hacían en Puerto Rico, con quién se estaban relacionando, qué tipo de negocios estaban haciendo, si alguno, sí, sería sumamente importante.
Y aunque el motivo de la balacera aún está bajo investigación, las autoridades en San Juan le expresaron a nuestra cadena hermana de Telemundo en Puerto Rico que es posible que el crimen se trate de un ajuste de cuentas. Divulgaron que Reyes estaba siendo investigado por presuntos vínculos al narcotráfico.
Tenemos una información que no la hemos corroborado, pero sí se dice que estaba trabajando en grandes proporciones.
Mientras en Filadelfia existen documentos públicos que señalan que Rondón había sido arrestado en el pasado.
Cabe destacar de que las autoridades en Puerto Rico dicen que van a estar trabajando con los agentes federales para poder esclarecer este caso. Nosotros, por nuestra parte, por supuesto, le vamos a estar trayendo cualquier novedad sobre este caso.
Back in Philly, almost immediately, a page called Philly Death Row had the gruesome picture of Ray laying on the steps of the plaza within hours of his death. Make up your own mind as to how this played out. How Ray is shot in Puerto Rico, and within hours, a Philly blog page has the pictures. Philly Death Row also had an immediate narrative fed to him by the people who sent him the picture, and as someone with no journalistic integrity, he immediately posted this possibly misleading and defamatory info. I'll show the post and you can pause and read it.
Koala is a big drug lord from Kensington who is clicked up with Weymouth. It was rumored that him and Rondo were beefing over bread and territory, but Rondo was always deep and was hard to get. Long story short, Rondo left to PR because Fatty had a collab with an artist from PR named Young Chimmy. They ended up chilling with some people who were click-ups from Weymouth, not knowing this was Koala perfect time to end up with his competitor. It did not take long for Koala to make the call and finally catch Rondo lacking in foreign PR territory the next day. Rondo was on IG Live moments before the tragic incident. Yo, if that's true, that's crazy, bro.
If you want, but I wanted to be clear that this has not been vetted or verified at all by me, and it's not being reported by me. One thing that did pique my interest, however, that I could actually look into was a mention of an artist named Young Chimmy. Young Chimmy is a super mainstream artist from Puerto Rico, and his connection to Los Diablos was not apparent before Ray's murder. But after Ray's death, it became abundantly clear that Chimmy was associated with Ray's ops in Philly. Countless music videos have been released by Pressure, Sombra, and Chimmy with lyrics that can be interpreted as disses towards Ray.
base bien prendido. Cambiamos el juego y ahora somos empresarios. Líderes que matan gente ahora millonarios.
Patroncito, patroncito, vamos muertito. La mafia más cabrón de Puerto Rico. Mandamos en fila y las 7 me mama el bicho. Horrible, tu hijo muerto, tengo escrincho. No venga a tu hijo y ya casi te quito el bloque.
Roteando esta guerra con lo que deja el perico. Cobro tu cabeza y en la music lo duplico. Cabrón, no le paro, soy el nene de mis patrones. Le juro por mami que a su hijo que me emblones. Por ti palo y no te duermo. Mi alma, aquí todo el mundo vive en guerra. Si te vemos por Santurce la iglesia van a asegurarse que no vuelva. Con 200k por mi cabeza y no me matan. Me quieren dar en guira. Yo en casa en la nota de las pastillas.
Si me pasan el ticket, cabrón, cojo tu contrato. Salimos a cazar, está vestido de tecato.
These connections led me to believe that Chimmy knows more than he leads on. His superstar status might lull some people into a false sense of security that he's all about business and harmless. Chimmy was seen with this post a day after Ray's shooting. Fatty was again with Rondo when he was shot at, but if you're with someone all the time, that isn't that crazy of a coincidence, as some others had suggested. One thing is obvious is that whatever Ray had going on, he was way in over his head. Getting picked off on an island is wild, and I don't even think I need to say that me speculating on what happened would be way out of order. What we do know is that he had a lot of people in Philly that loved him, but also had a lot of enemies. Enemies with the reach to different parts of the states like Puerto Rico. Ruger Reyes Rondo left behind 2 kids and a fiance. After he died, RIPs and tributes came pouring in from friends and family. A really good tribute song was made by Forloso mourning his fallen friend.
I can't believe you're gone. It's been so long.
I'm still trying to come to terms with your death. It ain't working, no, it hurt me when I saw the pants to pulling back that curtain. I took my brother out the game, I wish that I could trade him back. Ain't no wine in this shit, that's why they hit you in your back. No, I got the kids, I'ma make sure that they stay on track. I'ma tell your son, I better never catch you in the trap.
However, with so many loose ends left, rumors and speculation of course started to fly. Not only Philly Death Row, but the Reddit started going crazy as well. Post after post speculating on what happened, pointing fingers, and people throwing red herrings just to confuse people. Again, I wasn't able to verify much at all. This is the most closed lip I've ever seen people about a situation in my whole time making videos. The process is usually like this. I'll have a piece of unverified info, I'll reach out to someone close, whether it be parents, aunts, cousins, whatever, but someone is usually willing to talk. But this time, it wasn't that people didn't want to talk to me. It was almost as if something was stopping them from speaking with me, like an ongoing threat of violence. But that doesn't really make sense either, because all my sources remain anonymous. And for the smartass that right now is saying, it's none of your business, that's why they aren't talking. Yeah, you would think that, right? One thing you learn quick in this line of work is that people love to talk. Rappers love to have their stories told. Friends like to hear their other friends' stories told, or even family members just wanting the story to be told right. The amount of people that speak openly with me always shocks me, but like I said, this time was different. And like I also said, out of respect for Ray, there was so much more that I found, but I didn't get into in this video because he kept his business off the internet and nothing was publicly available.
Damn.
However, I think I explained it in the best way that I could. So I'm gonna leave it there for now. Thanks for watching American Confidential, and until next time, be safe.
All right, so what do you guys think happened to Ruger Ray, bro? I'm gonna tell you right now. I agree with American Confidential. I think that while there's no clear-cut trigger man in this one, because it really could just be any sort of, what do they call assassins out there, bro? You know? It could be any sort of dude out there. They could pay anybody. You know, it's Puerto Rico. It's different. It's just a different ball game once you leave the United States. I mean, yeah, the United States, you could put a bag on somebody's head, But it's just a different ball. It's just different, bro. You get outside the United States, and unless you're going to the UK or places in Europe, they ain't got cameras everywhere and shit like that, bro. You know? They ain't tracking cell phone towers and shit like that, bro. Like, you know? They might eventually. Like, if you kill somebody. But to them out there, you got a criminal record and you're not their citizen. You're like a U.S. citizen or whatever. And I love how they put, like, oh, he's of Dominican descent. Like, they automatically were just making him, like, different or apart from their nation because San Juan depends so much on the tourism for its economy. This is a crazy one. But I agree with American Confidential. I think that guy, Young Chimmy, knows what's up. He was probably the guy who set him up. Don't think he's the trigger man. Don't think those guys in Philly rapping about it are the trigger men. I think somebody from maybe their clica, you know, the Diablos or whatever. Grupo 27 or whatever they're called is maybe, you know, maybe that's them out there and they had somebody pull that trigger. But why, too? Is it because he was trying to butt into their industry? Because he was trying to make connections and work with Latin artists and bring that Latin artist stuff to the drill scene out there in Philly. And they're like, nah, we ain't sharing this industry. We got a monopoly on this shit here. That's what I believe. But let me know if y'all like this video. Dude, this one might be the best video I've ever watched. Shout out to American Confidential. This shit is amazing. Go like, go comment, subscribe to his channel. I'm already subscribed because you already know the deal. I got to give this a straight up 10 out of 10 to my boy. And we're going to let him know right now. This is by far this was great. Alright guys, that's it for me. Alright, I gotta get up and somehow make it over to the gym. So I'll see you guys in the next one. What a great video. This is JFlood201 Reacts. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at JFlood.